Hey YouTube family, my name is Savannah Anderson and I am going to be sharing with you my testimony today. A testimony, just so you know, is basically you declaring God's goodness. It's to testify of God's goodness. And I just want to do that today through my story and explain how God, specifically Jesus Christ, took me from darkness, really heavy darkness when I was 26 years old, and brought me into light, into his kingdom. And I am now 30 years old, and the last 4 years of my life they've been hard, but they've been beautiful, and I have been able to really just dedicate my life to the Lord and just be on this crazy adventure with him, and it's been so fun. And I just want to testify every single day about how he's rescued me and how the darkness that I was living in was so heavy and so thick, and he took me out of that. He made me a completely new creation. And it's such a beautiful feeling. And so I just want to testify of that, and especially online, to the online community, and just let you know, if you've never heard the gospel before, if you've never heard of Jesus Christ before, that he is able and willing to save and to rescue out of the darkness that you're living in. So I just want to start by explaining a little bit about my story. And I grew up in a household where both of my parents decided that we could choose our own religion. And I grew up in Utah, and so I decided that I wanted to be Mormon. And so by the time I was 10, I was baptized into the Mormon church. And by the time I was 16, I decided to leave. There are a few factors that went into that, but ultimately I made my decision at 16 to walk away from the church. And by the time I was 17, I was invited to a different kind of church by a friend. And she asked if I wanted to go to this Christian church, and I thought Mormonism was Christian, and I was like, oh yeah, it's probably the same thing. I ended up going into this church, and it was not the same thing. It was a non-denominational Christian church, and I was not ready for what happened inside. I encountered God on a beautiful way, and even to this day, I can't explain what happened, but I remember just being in worship service and just bawling my eyes out, and I didn't understand what was happening, and now I have language for it, but God was encountering me in a mighty way and showing me that he was real, and that was something I never had experienced before in the Mormon church. And right after that, I didn't really have language for anything that I was going through or what I experienced or anything like that. I ended up not going back to the church again, but I still had this one moment where I had encountered the Lord, and I knew that God was in this Christian church. And so after that, I ended up going to another church, and I was there for a little bit of time, not too sure if I wanted to fully commit myself to it, because one of the main things was I decided I just wanted people to tell me what was in the Bible. I didn't want to read it. I had this idea in my mind that I wasn't capable of reading it or understanding it, and I had an excuse of I just don't like to read. And so I ended up not reading the Bible for myself, which was, I believe, my biggest mistake. And I ended up falling away from Christianity, and I decided just to do my own thing for a long time. I ended up going to college for a little while, and then I took a year off and was just struggling because I had gotten into the party life pretty hard, and it was about a full year of just party life, and it was just not fun. And I thought God was real, but I didn't think that he really cared too much about me, mainly because I had been hurt in a few different ways throughout that party life period. And within that party life period, I decided that I was going to just completely numb out my emotions. I didn't want to feel pain anymore. I didn't want people hurting me anymore. And so I remember being on a walk one night, looking up to the moon, praying to the Lord, and just saying, I don't want to feel anything anymore. I don't want pain anymore. I don't want this. Please take away my emotions. I don't want this anymore. I'm deciding to stop feeling. And to my surprise, it actually worked, because for the next few years, actually, I feel like I don't remember crying at all. I don't remember having any emotions. I don't remember crying out to God. I just ran straight into the party life, and it just hit me really hard that this is not the life that I wanted to live a few years down the road. And I was about 22. Yes, I was 22 years old when I decided to join the military. And so I did 180, completely flipped my life around, decided that I was going to join the military. I was going to change my life. I did that. Lo and behold, I ended up continuing to party in the military for about 4 years. And at the end of that 4 years, I went on a deployment. And on that deployment, this is where my life got radically changed. While we were out there, there was indirect fire a lot of times, and we would be running to the bunkers and things like that. And I did not take it seriously. I didn't take it seriously. We would just make jokes all the time. It's like, oh, they're not gonna hit us, ha ha ha. And it was just jokes. It just didn't seem real. And then by the time of the end of our deployment, there was multiple people that had died from a suicide bomber. And it started to hit me. And I really started to process through, okay, there's a handful of us that are not getting out of here, that we're gonna have to bring back all of their gear. And it really hit me that there was many of us that were not coming home. And it was a really, really hard time, but it made me really, really think about the account that I was going to give to God if I were to die, because I really started thinking like, hey, I really might die out here. There's people not coming home with us. So I sat there and thought about it and realized if I were to die and my account was laid out before God, saying like, this is my life, this is the life that I lived, the life that He gave me, it wouldn't be a good account. And I would say, I'm sorry, I don't know what I did. I just wanted to party, and I just wanted to do all the things I wanted to do, and I didn't want to listen to anything you had to say. I didn't want to read your word. And it just was such a spit in the face to God, because I was basically a hypocrite, because in a lot of ways I was telling people that I was a Christian. If people asked what my religion was, I was like, yeah, of course, I'm a Christian. But my life did not reflect that. So in many, many ways, I was a hypocrite. And I can attest to that now, being completely out of it. But I really struggled in that moment to realize, okay, now what? Now what am I gonna do? I'm hit with the reality of I could die at any time. And I decided that I was going to research every single religion, and I'm going to figure out what reality we all live in. It doesn't make sense that all of us would be living in multiple different realities. That's not a reasonable thing to believe in. And so I decided, okay, there's some reality that we're all living in. There's some God that's true, and I want to figure out who He is, and I want to worship Him, and I want to declare my life to Him, and I want to have a better account for my life when I die than what I have right now. And so I decided to start looking at all the different religions, and I start pulling them apart piece by piece. Because if something is not true, it falls apart. And so I started doing that. And I finally got to the Bible. You just can't disprove the Bible. You can't. It's such a beautiful, beautiful work, because it's over 66 books. It has over 40 authors over a time span of 1,500 years. And it all tells a cohesive story. And majority of these people that wrote in the Bible, they didn't even speak to each other. They didn't even know each other in different time periods. There were different regions. And it's all one cohesive story. So that was the main thing that really brought me to Christianity, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. This is real life. This is logical to believe in. And then I started going into all the archaeological evidence, and everything I was finding was just like proving that the Bible was true. And within the Bible is the gospel message. The gospel message is that we're all sinners and we all deserve death. But Jesus Christ came, lived a perfect life, perfectly sinless life, died a sacrifice for us, rose again, defeated death, so that we may live in eternity with Him. What a beautiful, beautiful message. Gospel actually means good news. And so He brought the good news for us. And so when I came to this realization that, one, the Bible was true, because remember, I grew up and I wasn't believing that the Bible was true because of the Mormon Church. They believe that it has been mistranslated. And so I've had that idea in my mind for so long. And so growing up, not believing in that, and then coming to the realization, oh my gosh, the Bible is true and it can be trusted. And there's all this evidence to prove its existence. It was very overwhelming for me, and I decided, okay, I'm going to believe in Christianity and therefore Christ, and I'm going to follow him for the rest of my life. And it's just such a beautiful testimony, because the day after I did that, there's been so much spiritual warfare. There's been so many things that have been really difficult, and I'm not here to tell you if you become a Christian that your life is going to be easier, but oh my gosh, the joy. I've never had joy like this before in my life. I've never had peace like this in my life. I've never come to a place where I've just been so content in whatever happens, because I know what's going to happen to me after I die. And now when I'm making decisions, I'm asking the Lord, what do you want me to do? And when I start making decisions with him, there's just this crazy peace that comes over me of, you're living a life that you were meant to live, that I was created in the image of God. And by being created in the image of God and living out what he has called me to do, that there is joy and peace that surpasses all understanding. And the testimony of how I came to Christianity is just a testament of that. It is a miracle. If you knew me before Christ, you would see that this was a miracle, an actual miracle, that God had to do in a mighty, mighty work in me for me to follow Christ. You would see that this is a testament of God, and that he is worth following. He is worth following. He is worth giving your entire life for, because he created you. He created you. He created me. He has a purpose for you. He has a purpose for me. And to live in his glory is so much better than anything else you could ever do. It's the only thing that will actually satisfy you. Because living a life of the party life, living a life for your job, living a life for all these different aspects of life will never fulfill you. It will never fulfill you. But Jesus Christ will fulfill you, because he is the only thing that matters in this life. So I just wanted to share that testimony with you, and I just pray that this blesses you today. He has radically changed my life, and I pray that if you're watching this and Jesus has radically changed your life, that you would get on and put a testimony of his goodness online, and you would post it and send it as far as it can go, because he is the reason that we are alive and breathing, and he is the reason that I'm alive and breathing and not where I was. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have an amazing day, and I pray that this blessed you.